in the previous session of a regulator circuit, we have discussed three types of the voltage regulator. One is the general voltage regulator, then the shunt voltage regulator, and the series voltage regulator. Now, all these regulator circuit has some advantage and disadvantage. Today in this lecture, we will discuss one more type of the regulator circuit, which is known as a electronics voltage regulator with a error amplifier. And here there will be some kind of the feedback will be there. So if the output voltage will increase or decrease, that voltage is going to be feeding to the input of this, and accordingly the circuit will work and you will get a constant output voltage. So to understand this circuit here, this is a circuit where we use the two transistor and Zener diode and some feedback resistance are there. Now to understand this regulation action of the circuit, we should understand that what is the block diagram. So in this block diagram you will find a one series pass element, and series pass element is nothing but it is a kind of a transistor here. That transistor is connected in series with the load resistance. The connection of the transistor is in series with this load resistance, so it is called a series pass element. And in a previous lecture also already mentioned that whatever the transistor is there, that this transistor is working as a variable resistance. Then we have a error amplifier. Now this error amplifier has two inputs. One of the input is given from the reference supply and another input is given from the feedback network. So accordingly, whatever the difference between these two voltages is there, that will produce the output voltage of the error amplifier. Accordingly, the output voltage of the amplifier will increase or decrease, and that is going to be controlled the series pass element. Here the reference supply is there. Reference supply means that voltage is going to remain constant. So at this point, always the voltage will be a constant. But here now we have a feedback network. So feedback network is connected to the output. And if this output voltage will increase or decrease, then accordingly the feedback voltage is given to the error amplifier. Error amplifier is going to amplify the difference between these two voltage, that is the reference voltage and the feedback voltage. Now if you compare this diagram with your circuit diagram, then whatever the transistor T1 is there, this transistor T1 is my series pass element, and here you can see the transistor is connected in series with the load resistance RL. Then the transistor T2, this transistor T2 is working as a error amplifier, and it has a two input. One of the input, that is the emitter is there, and another input, it is a base. So here we have a two input to this error amplifier. Then the Zener diode is there. This Zener diode is nothing but it is my reference supply. We know that across the anode and cathode of the Zener diode, always the voltage is going to remain constant. So that will provide a constant voltage to the emitter of the transistor. And here whatever the resistance R1 and R2 is here, then this resistance is nothing but it is a feedback network. So if this output voltage at this point, output voltage will increase or decrease, accordingly this feedback voltage will or increase or decrease, and that feedback voltage is given to the error amplifier. And accordingly, the error amplifier is going to control the transistor T1. So either the output voltage will increase or decrease, accordingly the resistance between the collector and emitter of the transistor will also change. Okay? Now let us see how this output voltage is going to remain constant. Okay. So first of all, unregulated voltage VA is given here, and then this voltage is given to a transistor T1. So due to that, there will be some flow of the current will be there. Here this current will flow in this way. Remember. Then at this junction, the current is going to be divided. Some of the current will pass through the resistance R3 and some of the current will pass through the transistor T1, and that we call a collector current IC. Remember. Then this IC is going to divide in three parts. Here some of the current is passing through the Zener diode and some of the current is passing through a feedback network, that is a R1 and R2, and the rest of the current, that is my load current IL, is going to be passed through the load resistance RL. Now here if you see that the voltage across the Zener will be a VZ. Then the voltage between the base and emitter of the transistor is, let us say, VBE2. And here remember that we are using a NPN transistor, so the base potential will be more than the emitter potential. Same way, here if you are talking about a transistor T1, here we have a base to emitter voltage, that is VBE1, and this will be base voltage. It is a NPN transistor, so the base potential will be more than the emitter potential, so this will be positive and this will be a negative. Now here the across the feedback resistance we have this output voltage VO is there. Remember, the VO is there. Then this is a kind of a potential divider circuit. So due to this potential divider circuit, here you will get some voltage which is known as a feedback voltage. This feedback voltage is a input for the error amplifier, and the one of the input, that is the fixed voltage, but this voltage is going to be changed as my output voltage is going to increase or decrease. Now through the resistance R3, whatever the current is going to be flow, this current is going to divide in two parts, that some of the current is passing in this transistor T2, we call this as a IC2, and some of the current is passing as a base current for the transistor T1, it is here IB1. Correct? Okay. Now try to understand the action of the circuit. That let us say my output voltage is increasing. Here if we have an unregulated supply, then the output voltage may be increased or decreased, or when you change the load resistance RL, then the output voltage is going to change. So suppose the output voltage increase. If this output voltage increase, here means this point, the voltage is increasing, it means the feedback voltage will also increase. Correct? So here we can say the feedback voltage is increasing. Feedback voltage is increasing means what? That it is a VBE2. Now here in this case the emitter voltage is going to remain constant, but the base voltage is nothing but it is my feedback voltage. So the VBE2 voltage will also increase. Remember, emitter potential is fixed, but whatever the variable voltage is there, it is on the base of the transistor, therefore the VBE2 voltage will increase. Now if this VBE2 voltage will increase, then naturally the base current of the transistor T2 will also increase. So here we write that the IB2 is increasing. Now we know that there is a relation between the base current and collector current. Base current will increase, then naturally the collector current is also increasing. This collector current is going to be flow in this way, remember. So this current IC2 will increase. Here we can write the IC2 is also increasing. Now when this current will increase, then naturally here, because this is a current limiting resistance, R3 is a current limiting resistance. So if this IC2 will increase, then naturally the IB1 will decrease, because this resistance R3 is keeping a current constant. Or in other words, if you say that here the current is increasing, then at this point the potential is going to decrease. Means the base potential will decrease, and the base potential will decrease, then naturally the base current IB1 of the transistor will also decrease. So here we can say the IB1 is going to decrease. Now again, if this IB1 will decrease, then what about the IC1? Sorry. Here, whatever the collector current is passing through your series pass element, that collector current will also decrease, because there is a linear relation between this collector current and the base current. So base current will decrease, then the collector current will also decrease. So collector current is decreasing in the sense that the Q point of your transistor is moving towards the cutoff region. And due to that, you can say that whatever the resistance between the collector and emitter is there, it is going to increase. In case of the series resistance, I already explained that how the resistance between the collector and emitter is going to be changed. So if the collector current decrease, then the resistance between the collector and emitter is going to increase RCE1. So naturally, that if this resistance will increase, then the voltage VCE1 will decrease. Sorry. VCE1 will increase. Resistance will increase, then accordingly the Ohm's law, the voltage drop, means this VCE1 is going to increase. So if the VCE1 will increase, then naturally your output voltage will decrease, because here if you see this network and if you write this equation, then that equation will be what? That is the VO is equal to, that is equal to a VI is equal to VCE1 plus VO, and therefore the VO is equal to VI minus VCE1. So here what is happening? Your VCE1 is going to increase. So if the VCE1 will increase, then naturally what will happen? Your output voltage will decrease. So finally your output voltage is decreasing. Okay. So initially what we have assumed, that my output voltage is increasing, but due to this all kind of the feedback process, here the output voltage is going to decrease. Means the circuit is going to try to keep this output voltage constant. Correct? Now same logic you can apply if this output voltage is going to decrease. So let us see what is going to happen. here if this output voltage is decreasing. Now same logic you can apply. If this output voltage decrease, then naturally the feedback voltage across the resistance R2 will also decrease. So my feedback voltage is decreasing. Feedback voltage will decrease, so the base potential of the transistor will also decrease. You can say the VBE2 is going to decrease. VBE2, the base voltage decrease, then naturally the base current IB2 will also decrease. IB2 is decreasing, means whatever the collector current passing through the T2, that is also going to a decrease. So IC2 will decrease. And already mentioned, if this IC2 here, if this IC2 is going to decrease, then naturally the IB1 will increase. So here the IB1 will increase, and IB1 will increase, then naturally IC1 will also increase. IC1 is increasing, means the Q point is moving towards the saturation region, and in that case the resistance between the collector and emitter will be small. So you can say the RCE1 is going to decrease. Resistance between the collector and emitter is decreasing. So if the resistance will decrease, then the voltage across the resistance, voltage across the collector and emitter will also decrease. Okay? And here in this expression you can see, if the VCE1 is going to decrease, then what will happen? That output voltage will increase, because it is in the negative sign. So here the output voltage is increasing. Correct? So in this way, again the circuit is trying to keep the output voltage constant. So this is the regulation action of your regulator circuit. Okay? Now let us see what is the expression for the output voltage. Output voltage. Correct? Now, if you look at the circuit, then the output voltage is here. So this output voltage equal to, we can write the voltage across the R1 plus the voltage between the base and the ground. Again, try to understand that the output voltage is equal to the voltage across R1 plus the voltage between the base and the ground. And this voltage across the R1 is nothing but, you can say, here the potential divider circuit is there. So this voltage you can write as a VO into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. Correct? And if I want to write the voltage across this, then this is the Vz plus VBE2. So here this voltage is Vz plus VBE2. That is the voltage across R2, or you can say it is nothing but it is my feedback voltage Vf. So here we write this expression that the VO is equal to voltage across the R1 means VR1 plus the feedback voltage Vf. What is the voltage across R1? That is the VO into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. Because due to this potential divider rule, you can write in this way. And what is the feedback voltage? So that is the voltage across the Zener plus the VBE2. So plus it is a Vz plus VBE2. Vz plus VBE2. So here the VO term is on the left hand side, VO term is also on the right hand side. So we collect this term and take this common. So VO into 1 minus R1 divided by R1 plus R2, and that is equal to a Vz plus VBE2. And again if you simplify, then this is a VO into R1 plus R2 minus R1. So this will be R2 divided by R1 plus R2 equal to Vz plus VBE2. And therefore the output voltage is equal to Vz plus VBE2 into bracket R1 plus R2 divided by R2. You take this term on the other side, and this is equal to, we can say, Vz plus VBE2 into 1 plus R1 by R2. This is the expression for a output voltage of the regulator circuit. Okay. So you can see that output voltage depends on what kind of the Zener voltage you have connected. It is of a 5 volt, 10 volt, 12 volt, and accordingly your requirement of the output voltage, you have to select the value of the Zener term. Then it is also depends on the ratio of the R1 and R2. Remember, it depends on the ratio of the R1 and R2. It means if I want to change the output voltage, then if I will change this ratio of R1 and R2, then also I can change the voltage. So sometimes this circuit is also useful for making a variable voltage regulator circuit. Means say you require a 5 volt, 7 volt, 10 volt, then if you can change this ratio R1, R2, then you can change the output voltage. And for that what you can do, here, remember that between the R1 and R2, you can connect a one potentiometer. So when you are connecting this potentiometer, then this is your R1 and this is your R2. Now when you change this position of the potentiometer, then the ratio of the R1 and R2 is going to change, and accordingly my output voltage will also change. So this circuit is useful for making a variable voltage regulator. Correct? So you have to remember output voltage depends on that what value of the Zener is connected, as well as what is the ratio of the R1 and R2. Okay. Okay. Now let us see how to calculate all this value, means how we can design the regulator circuit. So first of all, if you look at this, then the Zener diode is there. What should be the value of the Zener diode? Okay? So we write a selection of Zener diode. Correct? Now, here means there is no particular formula for the selection of the Zener diode. But normally, whatever the value of the Zener is there, it should be half of your required voltage. So suppose if I want a output voltage of a 10 volt, I want to make a power supply of a 10 volt, then the Zener voltage must be a 5 volt. It is not necessary, remember. But it is a thumb rule for the designing the circuit. Instead of 5, if you have a 6 volt generator or if you have a 4 volt generator, then also your circuit is going to work. But as a thumb rule, you can consider that the general voltage must be equal to a VO divided by 2. Correct? And then the general current. Here remember, whatever the current is going to be flow in this channel, correct? In this channel current is a IZ. But whatever the IZ is here, this IZ is divided in two parts. Remember, because it is connected to the emitter. It is connected to the emitter. So, this emitter current consists of what? Here, this whatever the collector current is there, this collector current is also passing through this Zener diode. As well as the current is also passing through the resistance RD. Resistance RD is for the current limiting resistance for the Zener diode. So, when we are selecting a IZ, then you have to consider the half of the Zener current is passing through the RD and half of the Zener current is passing through this collector of the transistor. So Iz by 2 from this transistor, Iz by 2 from the resistance RD, and that is going to make a Iz. So here if you want to calculate, now what is the Iz? Iz you have to consider a minimum. In a data book, already the minimum value of the Zener current is given. So you consider the minimum value of the Zener current. Then you should calculate the power dissipation, and that is will be a product of Vz into Iz by 2. Sorry, into Iz minimum. Correct? So when you are selecting the generator, then also you should know the power dissipation, because in the market the generators are available with the different power dissipation capacity. Okay. Now how to calculate the RD? So this is about the selection of the generator. Then calculation of RD. Remember, normally in the designing part, whenever you have to calculate either current, voltage or resistance, then you can apply the Ohm's law, and with the help of that you can calculate. Correct? So I am calculating the resistance RD. So resistance is what? It is a ratio of a voltage to the current. Okay? What is voltage? That is the voltage drop across the RD. Remember. Here voltage drop means potential drop, and that is the difference of these two voltage. At this point the voltage is VO, and at this point the voltage is Vz. So RD will be equal to, we can write VO minus Vz divided by. Now how much current is passing through the RD? That is the Iz by 2. So here the Iz by 2. So in this way you can calculate the value of a resistance RD. Okay. Now we will calculate the R1 and R2. Third one. Calculation of R1 and R2. Okay. So here you have to assume some current. Remember that let us say the current in this resistance is a I1. Now this I1 should not be very large. Remember, here I1 should be a very small, it should be a 5 milliampere, 10 milliampere or 2 milliampere, but it should not be 100 or 200 milliampere. So you assume the current. For this what you have to do? Assume this current I1. Correct? Then now resistance R1 and R2, they are in series. And from this series connection, current I1 is passing. Here no doubt, there will be some flow of the current in a base of the transistor. But this current will be very, very small. It will be in order of a few microampere, so that you can neglect this current. So we assume that the current I1 is passing through the resistance R1 as well as through a R2. Now how we can calculate the R1? So R1 means it is a voltage divided by current. So what is the voltage at this point? It is a VO, correct? Minus, what is the voltage at this point? That is the voltage is my a feedback voltage, correct? So potential at this point is a VF. So minus VF divided by I1. But what is VF? So just now already mentioned that the VF is nothing but it is a VZ plus VBE2 divided by I1. Here the feedback voltage consists of what? VZ voltage plus the base 2 emitter voltage. So VZ plus VBE2 divided by I1. So in this way you can calculate the value of R1. Now what about the R2? So voltage drop across the R2 and that is the VF. So here VF. And how much current is passing through this R2? I1. Okay? Because I already mentioned that whatever the base current is there, it is very small compared to this I1. So we consider I1. And this is VF is nothing but it is a VZ plus VBE2 divided by I1. So this is the formula for calculating the value of resistance R2. Okay. Now the fourth one, the calculation of R3. Now here you try to understand. Again, what the calculation of the resistance means, it is a voltage divided by current. Okay. So here, what is the voltage at this point and what is the voltage at this point? So this is the potential difference across the R3. So we know that this voltage is nothing but it is a VL. And here if you see that voltage will be what? Remember. So try to understand this. Here, if this emitter potential is VO, correct? Then the voltage on this base will be always higher than the VO, and that is the VBE1. So the voltage between these two is VBE1. Now if the emitter voltage is VO, then this voltage will be a VO plus VBE1, because the base voltage is more positive than the emitter voltage. So here that this voltage, one of the end the voltage is VI, on other end the voltage is VO plus VBE1 divided by the current. Now what will be the current? So here you can see already mentioned that the two currents are going to flow through this, and this current is a IB1 and this current is the collector current. Here this collector current, that is the IC2, and it is nothing but IZ by 2, and whatever the current is flowing here, that is your IB1. So through this resistance R3, the two currents are flowing, and that is a IB1 plus IZ by 2 plus IZ by 2. Okay? But how to calculate the IB1? IB1, how to calculate this? From the collector current. So IB1 is nothing but it is a IC1 divided by HAP1. So again try to understand that whatever the collector current is going to be flow here, this collector current IC1 is there. It consists of what? IZ by 2, I1 and IN. Remember, this collector current is going to divide in three parts. That IZ by 2 current is passing through the Zener diode, current I1 is passing through your feedback resistance, and the load current is passing through the load resistance. So here we can say that IC1 is nothing, it consists of IZ by 2 plus I1 plus IN, and this is going to divide by HAP1. So in this way you can calculate the value of resistance R3. So here the calculation is over. But now the question is how to select the value of how to select the transistor T1 and T2, because it is also a part of the design. Correct? First of all, we will see fifth one, the selection of T2. Now when you are selecting the transistor, then always you have to see what is the collector current capacity, maximum collector current capacity, that is known as IC maximum. Then the second is you have to see what is the maximum collector emitter voltage. Correct? And then you have to see a power dissipation of a transistor. Correct? So here through the transistor T2, how much current is going to be passed? That is a IZ by 2. Correct? So the current capacity of your transistor must be a greater than IZ by 2. Then what is the VCE? VCE, this collector emitter voltage here, this collector emitter voltage. And if you see that emitter voltage is at VZ potential and the collector potential is a VO plus VBE1 and minus VZ. The collector potential is what? VO plus VBE1 and the emitter potential is VZ. So this difference must be always less than VCE maximum of a given transistor. And then if you take the product of this, that will give you the power dissipation. So it is IZ by 2 into VU plus VBE 1 minus Vz. Okay. Now here the transistor T2 is nothing but it is an error amplifier. So the large amount of the current is not going to pass. Here if you are talking about this Iz by 2. So if I consider the Iz is of a 10 milliampere, then how much current will be there? This is only a 5 milliampere. 5 milliampere. So this is roughly about a 5 milliampere to 10 milliampere is there. Then VO plus VB1 minus Vz. So you can say if this voltage is a 10 volt and here I am selecting a Zener diode of a 5 volt, then this is going to be a 10 minus 5, so almost equal to a 5 volt. Okay? And if you are talking about this power dissipation, it is a 50 milliwatt will be there. So normally whatever the small signal transistor are there, they have the current capacity. If I am talking about a BC108, then the IC maximum is roughly a 30 milliampere. VC maximum is also a 30 volt. So here, if I select a BC108 or a BC148, then this transistor is suitable for a error amplifier. Okay. Now, selection of T1. Selection of T1. That is a series pass element. Correct? It is my series pass element. And again, I already mentioned that for the selection of the transistor, we have to see first of all what is the maximum collector current. Then what is the VCE maximum, and then what is the power dissipation. Correct? So here you can see that my collector current consists of Iz by 2, I1 and IL. So the collector current of the transistor must be greater than Iz by 2 plus I1 plus IL. Then the VCE maximum, the voltage between these two. Now here the voltage is Vi and here the voltage is Vo. So this VCE maximum must be greater than the difference of the input voltage and the output voltage. Then for the power dissipation, you can take this product Vi minus Vo into Iz by 2 plus I1 plus IL. So this power dissipation will be there. Now here if you look at this, then suppose if I am designing a power supply with a load current of a 1 ampere. 1 ampere means the collector current of the transistor must be greater than 1 ampere. Correct? So here it is a 1 ampere or more than 1 ampere should be there. Then Vi minus Vo. Here suppose my input voltage is a 30 volt and the output voltage, my required output voltage is 10 volt. Then the difference you can say it is a 30 minus 10, so roughly it is a 20 volt. And if you calculate this power dissipation, then this power dissipation will be 20 into 1, so this is roughly a 20 watt. You can see in this case, error amplifier, the power dissipation is hardly 50 milliwatt, and here the power dissipation is 20 watt. So you cannot use a small signal transistor as a series pass element. The collector current capacity is required collector current capacity is very large. The power dissipation in the transistor is also going to be very large, and for this we have to use a kind of a transistor which is known as a power transistor. And if I am talking about the power transistor of AD149, then it has a collector current capacity of roughly a 3.5 ampere. Roughly a 3.5 ampere. And VCE is also a 30 volt is there. So the power dissipation is also a very large. Listen, not 30 volt, but it may be a 20 volt. I don't know exactly, but the collector current capacity is very large. Then naturally the power dissipation will be also a very large. So here you have to use a power transistor like the AD149, or you can say BU205 or 2N3055. This kind of the transistors are used for making the as a series pass element in the regulator circuit. Okay. So this is about how to design the circuit. Okay, in the next lecture we will discuss a design. We will take one example and see how we can design this regulator circuit.